see, 8:33 in the East. Paul Ryan is the congressman from Wisconsin's 1st District. He's chairman of the House Budget Committee, and I've known him for years. Good morning, Chairman.
Hey, great to start the day with a little Led Zeppelin. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, don't distract me. You know this will send me off into the blue. Paul, immigration. We've had a lot of calls. What's Paul Ryan doing? Doing? Is he with Marco Rubio? What's going on? Where are you on all this?
Well, we're going to do a different bill here in the House. We're not going to be taking up the Senate bill. But I do think, as a conservative, you need to look at the world as it is. You don't work with the world as you want it to be. And the world as it is a border that's not under control,
right.
A visa system we have no idea whether people stay or leave after their visas have expired, and a legal immigration system that is so broken that some cases you're better off coming illegally. So we need to fix that. And so where Paul Ryan is I see a broken immigration system that's bad for our economy and bad for our national security, and I want to fix that. So in the House, we're going to do a different approach.
Okay.
We're going to have a border security trigger first, meaning you must secure the border. Another thing you have to do is you have to verify whether a person is legally in the country or not, or legally able to work at the job. We call this E-Verify. You can electronically verify a person's identity when they go apply for a job, and we want that system to be up and running. We also, though, have to have legal immigration that works. There are industries that still need workers that can't find people, like dairy industry in Wisconsin, or the hospitality industry in Wisconsin, or high-tech, software engineers. We want to have good legal immigration. And what the border experts tell us is, in order to really secure the border, you want to have a system where that immigrant who wants to come for a job goes to the front door with a guest worker permit, so that he's not trying to cross the border illegally. And that takes a lot of pressure off the overwhelming border crossings that occur, so that we can focus interdicting the drug smugglers, the terrorists, the criminals, the people with the felonies. So that's the kind of approach we want to take here in the House. And with respect to the undocumented, the 11 million, whatever that number is, knowing that we can't round up 11 million people and deport them, what's the way to fix this without rewarding them for having done this illegally? What's the way to make sure that they pay a fine? What's to make sure that they make right with the fact that they didn't do things right and put them at the back of the line? And that's why we're looking at this probationary period, meaning you break a law, you go on probation. That's the kind of system we're looking at here, where you're at the back of the line, you pay a fine, you pay your taxes, you learn English and civics. It's a probationary visa. You violate the terms of probation, you're deported. And then after the border is secured and after the E-Verify system is up and running, after everybody else in front of the line who came here legally is dealt with, then you can petition or get a different status adjustment.
Okay. Good. I mean, look, first of all, you're right about conservatives. It sounded familiar what you said. Sounds like some of our old friends.
Exactly.
You take the world the way it is, not the way you'd like it to be, but you try to turn it toward the way you'd like it to be.
Right, and that's classic Burke.
Right, but a second conservative principle, for us theological conservatives, is, the condition of the world is such that it can always be made worse, right?
Right.
So that you don't want a bill that's going to make things worse, and
that's right.
That's my complaint about the Senate bill. I'm delighted you're not going to take up that Senate bill.
No, we think there are too many flaws in that bill.
Good.
I think the amendments they're passing are making it better. I think they're moving it closer toward the House's position, which is, they're focusing on border.
Well, they're paying attention to the right issue.
Yeah,
I think spending the money is the
I would
right
like
answer.
to scrub this bill a little bit more. They're moving that thing pretty fast.
That's right.
We're going to go more methodically here in the House. I work with the number crunchers to make sure that the numbers add up.
Good.
But the other point is that you made, in '86 they screwed it up.
Yeah.
They did an amnesty. They thought they were wiping the slate clean, but they didn't have a good guest worker program. They didn't have legal immigration moving into the future that made sure that they didn't have any more undocumented people.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we get it right so that in 10 years' time we're not in the same fix again. And that's why you've got to have I know the word comprehensive is a bad word these days, but what I mean is you have to have legal immigration that works.
That's right.
so that we don't have this same problem in 10 years.
Yeah, we don't repeat it again.
That's right.
Now, I think, I agree with you on the Corker-Hoven. It talks about the right things,
That's right.
Border security, but I'm not sure it does it in the right way. I think it's mostly spending. It's not.
Results. We have a bit of a different approach here in the House, and we scrubbed the language. And you do need more Border Patrol people. We agree with that, but
how about fence?
Throw money at a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think fence too, but we'll see the shape of your bill. Very good news to hear. Very good news to hear. Let's talk about budgets. What are you guys working on? What's coming? What's the big picture, and how does the whole energy revolution, despite what the president said yesterday, work its way into it?
So those two are related. We're the same. We passed a budget that balances the budget without raising taxes and reforms the tax code and reforms our entitlement programs. So we literally pay off our debt with the budget that we passed in the House. It's very, very different than what the president's calling for or what the Senate passed. So our positions are pretty far apart. Coming up with the sequester, coming up with a debt limit, our position has not changed one bit, which is we want a down payment on this problem. We want to get some debt and deficit reduction, and we want to reform this tax code, stop the government from picking winners and losers, stop these high tax rates on our small and successful businesses, which create our jobs. And so we are going to be moving tax reform through the Ways and Means Committee, lower our tax rates, broaden the tax base by getting rid of special interest loopholes, and make America more competitive, and then get some entitlement reforms so that we can really get this debt under control. We're doing a hearing today in the Budget Committee on energy, on the shale revolution, on the fact that we have an enormous gift in the fact that we now know how to get, with horizontal drilling, all this oil and gas that we never thought was gettable. We now have estimates that are just eye-popping. We could literally become oil independent as a continent in a decade. We could stop having to import oil from OPEC countries in the very near future if we set our minds to it. And the kinds of revenues that come into the federal government, state and local governments, are massive, far more than the government estimates today. And the jobs that we create for Americans, the lower energy costs for Americans for heating their house, for putting gas in the car, for buying electricity. It's incredible what this could be, but the administration is standing in the way of it, and that is a big conflict we have. His announcement yesterday of these new coal-fired power plant regulations basically say no more coal-fired power plants ever again. We have 22 coal plants in Wisconsin. Most of our electricity comes from coal. He's basically saying you can't have another one in America with this kind of a rule. It's basically an agenda that I got yesterday of I'm going to pick winners and I'm going to pick losers.
Yeah.
And the losers are the proven energy resources that we have in this country that put a lot of people to work, that lower our prices. And the winners are these unproven technologies that I will deem will be on the winning end of my agenda. That will frustrate the development of these proven reserves of oil and gas, of coal that we have in this country that could do a whole lot to help our economy and reduce our deficits.
How does one explain this? Ross Douthat had a column in the New York Times on Sunday, talked about the great disconnect, the president pushing for gun control and climate control issues, country looking for jobs, a lift in the economy, some curbing of entitlements. Is this just atavism, reverting to an earlier form? Is this retreating to the base? I mean, I don't understand why a politically prudent politician wouldn't say, my gosh, what the people are screaming for is a good economy. Here's a way to get there. Here's a way to get there.
I just don't know the answer. I'm not inside his head, but I think he's just ideologically a very motivated person. We're going to be moving energy legislation in the House. We're going to be opening up our lands to oil and gas exploration, which we now know we can get in an environmentally friendly way. I mean, look at the Alaska pipeline. It's already built. It can move 2 million barrels of oil a day into our economy, and it's moving about 500,000 because the federal government is slowing down oil and gas extraction from federal lands. Look, you know the story in the Keystone Pipeline. I mean, it's amazing, on and on and on, when you take a look at where this renaissance could occur and it's being frustrated by the federal government. Thank heavens a lot of this is on private land, like in North Dakota, or state land where states understand this, and we have this development occurring. But just think how good it could be if the federal government gets out of the way and stops trying to frustrate our march toward oil and gas independence.
Yeah, one of the issues we've talked about a couple times is the messaging here, and the environmentalists have been very radical. Environmentalists have been very successful. It's still hard for people to believe that this is a win on so many fronts. I'm just reflecting out loud. Do you have a way of thinking about this? You spend a lot of time getting your message across to the American people.
Well, I think the practical argument, and we'll probably get into this in our hearing in the Budget Committee today, is we're going to be a carbon-based economy for a long time. We're going to use oil and gas for a long time in this country, regardless of what people want or don't want. Do we want to get it from Middle Eastern countries? Do we want to get it from Venezuela and send our money to those countries, or do we want to get it from our own nation? And by the way, we get it in a more environmentally friendly way than they do. We don't bring ocean liners over. It's cheaper. We put Americans to work. Our money goes into this economy. Revenues come into the federal government. In our transportation bill, the revenues we get from oil and gas exploration on federal lands goes to the Highway Trust Fund to fix our infrastructure, to repair our bridges, and to repair our highways. It's a win-win-win. Think of the foreign policy. If we don't have to rely on these Middle Eastern countries, think of what that does to free up our foreign policy. Think of what it does to make America more independent, less dependent on other countries. That's the argument I try to make to my friends on the left who, don't want this to happen. But they are basically saying, then we'll just buy more from the Middle East.
That's my last question. We just have about a minute. Any movement on the left? You got committee members, from all over the left. Any movement on this? There got to be XL support.
There are Democrats from oil patch places, sure. Louisiana, Texas, sure. Oklahoma. Sure. Well, no, there aren't any Democrats left in Oklahoma, but Louisiana and Texas and others who do understand this, but the leadership is dead set against it.
Yeah, and so people will fall in line, you think?
I think so, but we had the majority in the House. We don't in the Senate, and we're going to have a stalemate, I fear. But this is one of the things we're just really going to bring to the president's desk and make him make a choice.
I wonder if they can move some in the Senate. We started our show today with playing Joe Manchin from Fox last night saying irresponsible of the president to say what he said and do what he's doing. Maybe
that's right.
Can move some people.
So we will bring this issue to a crescendo this year and get the president to make a decision one way or the other. And this is something that we're going to be focusing on: tax reform, debt reduction, energy renaissance.
Very encouraging conversation, Chairman Ryan. Thank you very much.
You bet. My pleasure, Dr. Bennett.
You were well educated and well trained. I'll tell you that for you.
Thanks. I learned.
And I'll take all the credit for it, although I can't really claim it. Thank you, sir. All right, Chairman. How about that, guys? Huh? See what happens if you listen to me? You see? Hello?